We are pleased to welcome Beth Kobliner, who is the author of Make Your Kid a Money Genius, Even If You're Not. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to be here. Thank you.
You and I were just talking off camera about how challenging it is. Real quick, some of the anecdotal stuff you just told me, some parents sometimes say things like,
my kid wants to buy $1,200 jeans. Do you think that's okay? That was in LA.
What?
In New York, my 21-year-old wants a platinum card, Amex card, because that would allow him to go into the lounge with his friends.
and you say?
No, tell him he can have an Amex card. He can have a platinum one as long as he earns the money to get one. I think sometimes parents are fearful of going through and having the talk about why it's important to be smart about money. And I think it's interesting whether a person has a lot of money or very little money, there's a fear of confronting money. It's still a taboo topic. We talk about sex, we talk about drugs, we talk about alcohol with kids, but people are afraid to talk about money, and I think it is so important.
How soon?
By age 3,
Why?
research shows, University of Wisconsin shows that by age 3, kids understand basic money values like exchange. We give money, we get something back. They understand value, things have value, or they understand choices. We have to make choices when we buy things. But the bad news is, because I know you have a 6-year-old, but by age 7, a lot of those money habits are set.
Please stop.
Like
Can we go
impulse
back?
control, but.
Can we rewind?
But you can do so much from age 8. My book is for age 3 to 23,
Okay.
how to talk to kids. And there are so many everyday moments. If you go buy a car, you say, you know what, this is the price, we're going to negotiate, or we're going to get an interest rate, a lower interest rate on the loan, we're going to go to a bank. All those everyday moments are worthwhile discussing.
So, I don't want to make the show about me, because it's not.
Let's make it about you. It's your show.
No,
Okay.
but here's the thing. It's me as a, because everybody else has a piece of this.
Right.
My wife often tells me with our daughter, Olivia, only 6, we get the other kids, teenagers, and a big boy who's solid and 24 from our first marriage. Okay, too much information, I know, but here's the deal with the 6-year-old. My wife says, stop giving her what she wants because she asked for it.
She's right.
Stop doing that because you're creating a situation that's going to be a problem later.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I keep thinking at some point later on, when she's older, I'll be able to talk to her about the value.
Got to do it now. I mean, first of all, research shows she will understand, and she sounds very smart. And the second thing is, there was one study that found that when parents give in at the checkout line, you're at a store and they want this, they want that. If you repeatedly give in, those kids, they studied them at Duke, and they found they're more likely to get into credit card debt when they're older because they have no impulse control.
And then I'm going to have to pay that credit card. Okay.
Well, you shouldn't co-sign the credit card, and President Obama passed the CARD Act, which said, when we were kids, you could get a credit card just by signing your name. Now, you have to be 21 years old or have an income to get a credit card, but you can get one. The exception is with a parent co-signing, and parents should never co-sign a credit card with their
Do we,
kids.
as parents, sometimes give in to our kids and make the wrong decisions about what we give them and how we deal with money because, quote, we want them to like us more?
I think, yes, we're working hard. 2 parents are working. In a lot of families, people are very busy, and you feel like that's an easier decision. But when I tell people the research that shows, for example, if you give your kids chores without paying your kids, the research shows that they're more likely to graduate from college and more likely to start a career.
So work without asking me for $10.
Exactly. Do not negotiate with kids. Don't negotiate with terrorists or kids, and don't let kids dictate the rules, because as a parent, we're seeing more and more. A lot of it is about self-motivation. For example, when you bribe a kid for grades, you say, you get an A, I'll give you $50. Research shows, the Harvard professor found, it really doesn't work. It doesn't improve reading or math scores. It barely improves GPA at all. And it's more important that it comes from self-motivation, whether it's doing household chores as a family member or getting good grades in school. And you have to start that earlier, the earlier the better.
We have some friends, I hope they're not watching right now, who, let's just say, have children into their 20s, late into their 20s, closer to the other number on the other end. They pay a lot of bills for their kids. I'm talking car insurance, rent, phone bill. Just, go ahead, talk to me.
Here's the problem. We are all living longer. You know, knock on wood, we'll be living longer. And then when those parents, at a certain point, unless they have more money and they could just keep doing it forever, I don't think that's doing their kids any favor, and their kids will never learn financial responsibility. But at a certain point, kids are going to be the grown-ups and the parents are going to be old. And we need to, you know, be realistic that those parents may be relying on their children for help one day. So I think we have to educate children, everything from paying down student debt. That's something that a lot of young people are struggling with. And moving back home, a lot of young people are moving back home and parents don't know what to do. We have to be clear with them. Great, you can live at home for a year or two, but you have to make your student loan payments. I want to see you saving up an emergency cushion, and maybe you can pay rent. You know, it depends upon the family's
Even when it's, sorry for interrupting, even when it's so hard to find a job for many of these young kids.
I think that the rent is, if you need it, you have to ask for it. But if you don't need it as a parent, I would skip the rent, but make sure your kid is paying those student loan payments and go with them to their repayment options that they can find to make lower payments. But don't let them skip a payment, because that's going to hurt their credit score and make it harder for them to get a home mortgage one day.
Gosh. Now, for a lot of parents who actually have their own financial problems,
Right.
isn't it harder for them, us, to talk about money with kids?
My answer is it might be harder, but it shouldn't be. We shouldn't let it be, because we have to put our own money baggage. Everyone has money baggage. I had a lot of money as a kid. That's why I'm bad at money. My parents never taught me. I have no money. My parents never taught me. We have to put that aside and think. And that's why I wrote my book. It's funny because a lot of parents say, well, how can I teach my kid about money if I don't know about money? And the point is, you have to educate yourself. And you have to learn the basics to teach a kid about compound interest or opening a Roth IRA right out of school. Pretty basic stuff, though. It may sound complicated, but it's not. A few simple rules.
Before I let you out, should parents tell kids how much money they have or how little money? Meaning, if we're struggling, or, hey, just want you to know we're doing relatively well right now and we're putting this in your college fund. How much is too much?
How much is too much? Well, it has to be age appropriate. So if you have a 6-year-old, you don't say, hey, my 401k really tanked. But when it comes to college savings, when it comes to college savings, you have to tell your kid you have money earmarked for their college, because research shows that you don't have to tell them how much is in it, but when you tell a kid he has money for his savings for college, they're 3 times more likely to go to college, regardless of how much money is in the account.
And how about finally, if you're a parent who's struggling, and many are out there struggling, working as hard as they can, or looking for a job, or lost their job, can you tell a kid if you're struggling? You
can say, you know what? We're having a hard time. We're all going to chip in. And I know you wish we had X, Y, and Z. I do too. But you know what? We're a family. We're in this together.
Thank you for helping so many people. Beth Kobliner is the author of Make Your Kid a Money Genius, Even If You Are Not. Well done. Thank you so much.
Really a pleasure.
Stay with us from the Tisch WNET studio here in Lincoln Center. Well done.
My name is Dr. John Rundback. I'm actually the medical director of the Interventional Institute here at Holy Name Medical Center. The peripheral arterial disease actually is extremely common. It's one of the forms of hardening of the artery. As interventional radiologists, we perform minimally invasive image-guided procedures. Generally, the procedures we do are alternatives to what would otherwise be major surgery. Almost 80% of those patients can avoid amputation if they're referred for us for these sort of procedures.
Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey. 1-877 Holy Name. Healing begins here.
Also brought to you by the New Jersey State Nurses Association and the Institute for Nurses, and by the Terrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ.